Imagine spending years sending CVs, waiting for replies, facing rejections, and waking up every day with anxiety about the future. Now imagine this before you were born. Your risk was already written by Allah, not by companies, not by bosses, not by the market, by the Lord of the worlds. So why are we chasing people as if they control our destiny? Many of us spend half our lives trying to get hired, while opportunities for business, creativity, and self-reliance are waiting right in front of us. If you truly want freedom, dignity, and barakah in your income, then what I'm about to say could change the direction of your life. Stay with me till the end, because one shift in mindset could move you from chasing jobs to creating them. My brothers and sisters, Mufti Menk often reminds us that our sustenance is guaranteed by Allah. Yet, many of us behave as if we will starve without a job offer. Islam never told us to sit and wait for approval from people. Islam told us to work, to strive, to create, to move with tawakkul. The Prophet said, if you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance He is due, you would be provided for just as the birds are provided for. They leave in the morning hungry and return with full stomachs. Notice, birds don't wait in their nests for handouts. They take action. Today, people spend years chasing jobs, fixing CVs, begging for interviews, stressing over results, but they ignore the skills Allah has given them. Maybe you can cook, design, trade, teach, repair, sell, write, build, counsel, or create. Yet you convince yourself that unless someone hires you, you are not capable. This thinking kills ambition. Islam honors work done with your own hands. The Prophet said that the best income is from one's own effort. Even a small halal hustle with sincerity can open doors of rizq you never imagined. Jobs are not wrong. Many are noble. But depending only on them, stressing over them, and delaying your growth because of them is harmful. Instead of waiting months for one email, start something today. Sell a product, offer a service, teach a skill, start online, partner with a friend, but move. Rizq doesn't chase the lazy. Many people fear failing in their own venture, but do not fail interviews, do not face rejection emails. At least when you start something yourself, you build confidence and learn from your mistakes. And the beauty is, when you start with halal intention, Allah places barakah. A small initiative can turn into sustenance for your family and even employment for others. You shift from chasing jobs to becoming a source of jobs. Don't misunderstand. If you have a job, value it. If you're looking for one, continue making dua. But do not pause your life waiting. Start something instantly, no matter how small, because Allah blesses action. My brothers and sisters, every day you delay your own potential, you limit your rizq. Stop believing that only big companies decide your future. Allah is the one who opens doors. And sometimes, the door is not an office. It's an idea in your own mind, waiting for courage. So from this moment, shift your thinking. Ask Allah for guidance. Use your skills. Start small. Stay honest. And work with tawakkul. The world doesn't need more job seekers. It needs confident believers who create value with dignity. May Allah grant us courage, barakah, and success through action and trust in Him. Amen. When we look at the way people spend their lives today, many of us are trapped in the endless pursuit of jobs, interviews, and applications, almost as if the entire future depends on whether another human being gives us approval or not. Yet in reality, Islam reminds us that sustenance or rizq does not come from an employer, a company, or even the economy. It comes directly from Allah. This belief is not simply a comforting statement, it is a foundation that changes how a believer views life, work, and provision. If a person internalizes the truth that Allah is the sole provider, he no longer attaches his sense of security to employers, contracts, or salaries. Instead, he realizes that every morsel he eats, every coin he earns, and every opportunity that comes his way is already written for him before he was even born. This transforms his heart from fear of people to trust in Allah. The Quran says that there is no creature on earth except that Allah has guaranteed its provision. This means that your provision is written whether you chase it desperately or whether you pursue it with calm reliance on Allah. Chasing after jobs as if they are the only gateway to sustenance reflects a misunderstanding of Tawheed, because it places creation at the center rather than the creator. People often run from one office to another, one employer to another, forgetting that those employers are simply a means. The real source of all sustenance is above the heavens. If He wishes, He will provide for you through a job, but if He wishes, He may provide for you through a business, through an unexpected opportunity, or even through ways you never imagined. That is why the believer's heart should not be enslaved to jobs. His effort is there, yes, but his reliance is only upon Allah. When a person ties his sense of worth to employers, rejections hurt deeply. Every failed interview feels like the end of the world. But when the heart knows that rizq is written, rejections are seen as closed doors leading to something better. The Prophet taught us that sustenance is guaranteed and that no soul will die until it has received every bit of what was written for it. This means that no company can withhold what Allah has decreed for you, and no rejection can erase what has already been destined. If your provision is written, you will receive it. even if the whole world tries to stop it. And if something is not written for you, then even the whole world cannot force it into your hands. Understanding this reality should free us from desperation. How often do we hear of people humiliated in their job search, begging for opportunities, lowering themselves just to please a human being who holds no real power over their future? The believer stands with dignity, knowing that he seeks opportunities, but his heart rests with Allah. He applies, he works, he tries, but he does not see the job as the giver of rizq. He sees it only as a channel, and channels can change. What matters is that the provider never changes. This does not mean that one should stop striving or working. Islam is a religion of effort and hard work. But it teaches us that the effort is an act of worship and the outcome lies with Allah. A farmer plants seeds, but the rain comes from the sky. A worker uses his skills, but the blessings come from Allah. If we confuse effort with source, we will exhaust ourselves. But if we separate the two, we will work with energy and trust, knowing that success is not in the hands of people. True peace comes when a person begins every effort with dua, asking Allah to bless his work, and ends every effort with shukr, thanking Allah for whatever came his way. Whether a job comes or not, whether a business succeeds or struggles, he remains calm because his faith is not shaken by the ups and downs of the market. He knows that Allah has treasures beyond our imagination, and He distributes them with wisdom. Sometimes being denied one opportunity is the very protection that saves you from harm. Sometimes losing one source of income is the doorway to a greater and more blessed source. When Muslims stop obsessing over jobs and start focusing on their relationship with Allah, they stop running in circles. They begin to use their skills and resources in ways that Allah guides them, and often those ways open doors that 1,000 job applications could never achieve. The heart becomes free. The mind becomes creative, and the believer finds dignity in knowing that his provision is not tied to any man or woman. It is tied only to the one who has been providing for him since before his birth and will continue to provide until the end of his life. That is the true liberation from the endless chase, and it is the reminder we all need to hold firmly. Self-reliance in Islam is not about abandoning effort or ignoring responsibility. It is about building a mindset of action that is tied to tawakkul, a deep trust in Allah. Many people think relying on Allah means waiting for something to happen or depending only on what others can offer, but that is not the prophetic way. The Prophet tied his camel and then placed his trust in Allah. He did not sit idle, nor did he hand over his affairs entirely to people. He acted with strength, dignity, and intelligence while keeping his heart connected to the one who controls outcomes. When a person relies too heavily on employers or institutions, he becomes dependent on their decisions, their timing, and their approval. But when he learns to build something of his own, even if it is small, his trust shifts from people to Allah and his confidence grows. Self-reliance with tawakkul does not mean everyone must become wealthy or start huge companies. It begins with the mindset that you can use your skills, talents, and resources to create something beneficial rather than waiting endlessly for permission or acceptance. Many people have abilities they underestimate. Someone can cook well, another can fix, teach, design, write or sell. Yet they abandon these gifts because society has taught them that the only respectable path is employment under someone else's management. Islam, however, teaches us that the most dignified earnings are from one's own efforts. The Prophet Dawood used to eat from the work of his own hands, even though he was a king and a prophet. This is a lesson that strength, independence, and dignity are values that Islam promotes. Tawakkul is not laziness. It is taking action while trusting the results to Allah. Many people today get stuck in fear. They think starting something new is risky, so they prefer the illusion of security that comes with chasing jobs. But even a job is not guaranteed. Companies close, contracts end, bosses change, and markets shift. True security is not in a monthly salary, but in the promise of Allah, who says He is the provider. When someone starts a small business or initiative with sincerity and halal intent, Allah places barakah in his efforts. That barakah can grow beyond expectations, while a high-paying job without barakah can collapse in an instant. Another important aspect of self-reliance is emotional strength. When you depend on employers for approval, rejection becomes painful and humiliating. But when you depend on Allah and take initiative in your own efforts, your confidence comes from within. You stop begging for chances and start creating them. Instead of waiting for someone to open a door, you knock on new ones or build your own. That does not mean one should never apply for jobs. It means your heart should not be attached to them. Your trust is not in the hands of people, but in the one who owns every opportunity. When a person starts using his skills instead of doubting them, tawakkul becomes active. For example, imagine someone who knows how to bake. Instead of waiting for a job in a bakery that might never call back, he starts by selling to neighbors or online. Another person can tutor, repair devices, design graphics, or sell items from home. These actions, though small at first, can grow with time, effort, and dua. The believer understands that Allah can bless even the smallest step if the intention is pure. And sometimes a person discovers hidden talents only when he stops waiting and starts doing. Self-reliance also teaches responsibility. When someone creates his own work, he learns discipline, patience, and problem solving. He no longer sees himself as a victim of circumstances, but as someone who takes initiative with the help of Allah. This attitude is closer to Islamic teachings than the mindset of constant dependency. The companions of the Prophet A were traders, builders, farmers and craftsmen. They did not wait for others to employ them. They used their strengths and trusted Allah. Tawakkul also protects the heart from despair. When someone applies for dozens of jobs and gets no response, he often feels worthless. But when he creates his own path, he finds purpose. Even if the beginning is humble, he no longer ties his identity to acceptance from strangers. His worth comes from his connection to Allah and his willingness to use what Allah has given him. Self-reliance with tawakkul also benefits society. When people stop waiting and start building, they create opportunities for others. A person who begins a small halal business may one day employ others instead of competing with them for limited jobs. In that way, he becomes a source of benefit and sadaqah for his community, and Allah rewards him for providing halal income to others. Ultimately, the believer understands that his efforts are a form of worship, whether he starts from home, online, or in a small space. He works with honesty and dua. He knows that his rizq is not attached to his position, but to the decree of Allah. The journey may require patience, but with every step taken for the sake of dignity and reliance on Allah, the heart finds strength and the path becomes clearer. This balanced combination of action and tawakkul leads to a life of barakah, freedom and honor that chasing jobs alone can never provide. In today's world, many people are trapped in the belief that their value depends on a CV or a degree, and that the only way to earn a living is to wait for someone else to select them. This mindset creates a silent prison where individuals underestimate their own abilities and overlook the countless opportunities Allah has already placed within their reach. The reality is that the world is rapidly moving towards skills, creativity, and independent work. Degrees and resumes may open some doors, but skills open many more. A person who knows how to do something valuable, solve a problem, or provide a service will never be truly stuck, even if they never receive a job offer in their life. Skills are a provision from Allah, and when someone uses them with effort and tawakkul, they can become a source of rizq and dignity. Many people have convinced themselves that unless an employer approves them, they are not capable. They keep editing their CV, rewriting cover letters, applying for jobs that never call them back, and waiting months for replies that may never come. Meanwhile, the skills Allah has given them lie unused. Some people can cook and sell food from home. Others can design, tutor, write, repair, trade, paint, bake, program, sue market, or teach online. But because society has taught them that success only comes from a formal job, they bury their abilities and suffer from frustration and despair. Islam does not restrict a person to one path of earning. The Prophet A said the best income is from the work of one's own hands. The companions were merchants, farmers, builders, shepherds, and traders. They used skills and effort instead of waiting for employment. A CV might get ignored by hundreds of companies, but a skill used with sincerity and creativity can reach people directly. With technology today, someone sitting at home can provide services to people in other countries without ever submitting a resume. That is how the world has changed, and Muslims should not limit themselves by old thinking. When someone focuses on skills instead of titles, their confidence increases. They realize that what they can produce, create, or solve has real value. Instead of saying, "No one is hiring me," they begin to say, "What can I offer?" That simple change in mindset turns a passive life into an active one. The person stops waiting for approval and starts taking ownership. When skills are used, they improve. When they improve, they attract opportunities. When opportunities come, income follows. And through all of that, the believer keeps his heart connected to Allah, knowing that the one who gave the skill will also send the barakah. Another problem with relying only on CVs is rejection. Every rejection breaks the spirit a little more. A person starts to doubt himself and think he is useless, when in fact Allah may have written a different path for him. Skills do not require permission from companies. A person can start at any level. Even small beginnings can grow, and growth brings experience and wisdom that no resume can ever replace. Someone who starts by selling a small product today may become a business owner tomorrow. Someone who tutors one student online may grow to teach hundreds. Someone who repairs phones at home may own a shop in a few years. It only requires initiative and reliance on Allah. The world also respects results more than credentials. A person who can design a logo, build a website, bake a cake, speak a language, cut hair, or teach Quran does not need to wait for a job title to use that gift. Skills create independence. They allow a person to serve others, solve problems, and create connections. Many successful people today have no impressive resume, but they mastered something and offered it consistently. Meanwhile, many people with strong CVs are still waiting for a call that never comes. A believer should not belittle small efforts. The Prophet A taught that even if you carry wood on your back and sell it, it is better than begging. That is a powerful reminder that dignity lies in effort. If someone starts small with a skill, Allah can elevate them. If someone waits endlessly for a perfect job, they may remain stuck for years. Focusing on skills also brings flexibility. Jobs can end, companies can close, and economies can crash. But a skill stays with the person wherever they go. If someone moves to another city or loses a job, they can still rely on their abilities. That gives stability and peace of mind. Allah gave every person something they can use. Some have physical skills, others mental or artistic ones. Some are good at organizing, others at speaking or crafting. When these talents are used with the intention of earning halal income and serving others, they become a source of sustenance, growth and barakah. Ultimately, the believer's worth is not in a resume but in his effort, sincerity and trust in Allah. Skills used with intention can become a form of worship. Instead of spending years chasing signatures and stamps, a person should ask, what ability has Allah given me and how can I activate it now? When that mindset takes root, life changes, opportunities appear, confidence rises, and the heart finds rest because it is no longer waiting for people. It is moving with faith in the provider. Barakah is something that cannot be measured in numbers, and yet it determines the true outcome of every effort. Many people run after high-paying jobs with fixed salaries but find themselves constantly stressed, empty and unsatisfied. Others begin something small on their own, and Allah places so much barakah in it that it grows beyond expectation and brings peace with provision. When a person starts a halal business, service, or initiative with sincerity, even if it is small, it often carries more blessings than a job that drains faith and kills motivation. Islam teaches that sustenance is not just about money. It is about contentment, ease, and the ability to use what you earn in a way that benefits you in this life and the next. That kind of richness comes from Allah, not from the title of a position. Many people today go through years of employment feeling trapped. They are bound by strict timings, stressful environments, and constant pressure to perform according to someone else's expectations. They may earn a salary, but they lose health, peace, energy, and sometimes even their deen in the process. They feel as though they are working only to survive and not to live. Meanwhile, those who build something of their own, whether a small trade, online service, skill-based business, or home-based work, can shape their time, preserve their dignity, and maintain their iman while earning halal income. This path allows a person to grow and expand at a pace that suits their life and values. Barakah is tied to intention and honesty. When someone works for themselves, they are more conscious of ethics because their success relies on trust and fairness. They know that cheating or lying will destroy what they are building. This connection between effort and sincerity opens the door for Allah's blessings. In contrast, someone working in an environment that promotes haram practices may earn more on paper but lose the barakah that gives meaning to that income. A person may have a big paycheck but find it disappearing in problems, illnesses, debts or dissatisfaction. Another may have a small earning from a halal hustle and see it stretch far, solve needs. Entrepreneurship or halal self-initiatives also build resilience. Instead of depending on one employer, a person creates multiple avenues of income. Even if one source slows, another may open. This flexibility protects the believer from financial collapse. A person who depends only on one job fears losing it because they see it as their only lifeline. But someone who has started something even small sees that rizq can come through many channels by the will of Allah. They begin to understand that Allah can expand their provision in unique and unexpected ways. Another aspect of barakah is freedom. A person who controls their own income can prioritize deen. They can pause for salah without fear of their boss. They can attend Jumu'ah without excuses. They can schedule their work around their responsibilities to their family. They can take time to rest when their body needs it. This freedom is not always possible in a job that demands full control over a person's time and energy. When someone has the freedom to live their life according to Islamic values while still earning, that is a blessing many employed people never experience. Starting something does not mean becoming wealthy overnight. It means stepping into a path where Allah can grow your rizq through barakah. A small food business, a home-based craft, an online service, tutoring, designing, trading or selling, even if it seems insignificant at first, can become a source of continuous income with barakah. The Prophet A taught that even small deeds done consistently are beloved to Allah. The same applies to small efforts in earning done with halal intention. With patience, consistency and honesty, such efforts can outperform a stressful job over time. There is also a spiritual element. When you build something with your own hands and trust in Allah, your du'as become stronger. You see the results of your tawakkul directly. You become grateful for every sale, every customer, every opportunity. You witness how Allah sends help at the right moment. This strengthens iman and deepens your relationship with your Creator. A job may give a paycheck but not necessarily spiritual growth. It is important to understand that Islam does not condemn jobs, but Islam calls us to recognize that barakah cannot be found in numbers alone. 1,000 earned with no barakah may feel like nothing, while 100 with barakah can feel like abundance. If a person is in a job and finds it draining their deen and dignity, they should begin thinking of alternatives that align with their values. If someone is unemployed and waiting for a response from employers, they should not waste time but start something right away with whatever skill or resource they have. In the end, barakah is the real wealth. A person with barakah in their business, time, health, and income lives with contentment and growth. They do not chase after the world. They work with intention and trust Allah to expand their efforts. This mindset transforms the way a believer sees provision, not as something others give, but as something Allah places in their path when they take action with faith. One of the biggest silent struggles people face today is the mental exhaustion that comes with constantly searching for jobs, waiting for responses, and facing rejection after rejection. Every time someone applies somewhere and hears nothing back, a part of their confidence fades. Every interview that ends with, "We'll get back to you," but never does, creates a sense of failure. Even when the person has worth, skills, and potential, this cycle of waiting and hoping drains a person's energy and weakens their belief in themselves. Islam teaches us that reliance on Allah gives strength, but dependence on people leads to disappointment. When someone's self-worth is tied to employers, they begin to feel that their future is in someone else's hands. That kind of pressure affects the heart, the mind, and even a person's ibadah. Many people spend months or even years chasing a job that might never come when they could have used that same time to build something for themselves. The stress of waiting is heavier than the stress of working. When a person keeps checking emails, updating resumes, attending interviews, and facing silence, their mind becomes restless. They start comparing themselves to others, thinking they are not good enough, not educated enough, not experienced enough, or simply not lucky. Stress builds up and iman begins to shake. They might start doubting themselves and, worse, doubting the decree of Allah. Being stuck in that cycle creates a fear of taking initiative. People begin to think that the only path to success is through someone else hiring them. They hesitate to start anything new because they believe their value depends on a job title. This mindset is mentally suffocating. Instead of using their time and skills, they wait for others to give them permission to move forward. That is not how a believer should live. Islam teaches that action, effort, and reliance on Allah free a person from despair. When someone decides to stop waiting and starts using their abilities, something changes inside them. The stress of waiting is replaced by the energy of doing. Instead of counting on others to accept them, they start creating their own opportunities. Even small beginnings, selling a product, teaching a skill, offering a service, build confidence. The act of starting something gives mental clarity because the person is no longer stuck in uncertainty. Every step they take reminds them that effort is in their hands and results are with Allah. One of the greatest mental burdens is feeling powerless. Chasing jobs often creates that exact feeling because when people spend years chasing jobs, they often don't realize how temporary and limited those positions are. A job may give a salary for a set number of years, but eventually it ends when the contract expires, when the company replaces you, when you fall ill, or when you retire. Once that happens, the income stops, the identity attached to the title disappears, and the person is left wondering what they truly built in their lifetime. Islam teaches believers to think beyond temporary roles and look toward actions that outlive them. Starting something of your own, no matter how small, builds not only income but also legacy, impact, and continuity. The difference between employment and ownership is that a job ends with you, but something you build can continue to grow and benefit others even after you're gone. When someone starts a halal business, project, service, or initiative with the right intention, it can turn into sadaqah jariyah. Imagine a person opening a small Islamic bookstore, a tutoring service, a clothing business, a charity-driven project, or any halal trade. Every customer they serve, every family they support, every employee they hire, and every person who benefits from their work becomes part of their ongoing reward. This is something no fixed job can guarantee. When your only contribution is tied to a company, it dies with the job. But when your efforts create something that continues beyond you, you leave behind traces that testify for you on the day of judgment. Legacy is not only about large-scale businesses. It could be a Quran teaching service you start from your home, a digital product that benefits people, a skill you pass down to children, a trade you teach someone, or a small initiative that provides halal support to others. Even after you retire, or even after you pass away, your influence and earnings can continue through what you establish. A person who depends only on a job spends their best years building someone else's dream, but a person who creates something of their own plants seeds whose harvest continues. There is also emotional and psychological empowerment in building instead of chasing. When people constantly apply for jobs and wait for acceptance, their confidence shrinks and their self-worth becomes tied to someone else's decision. But when they build something, even small at first, they begin to realize the capabilities Allah has given them. Each step taken nurtures growth. Each customer served, each product made, each service delivered adds to experience and self-belief. Over time, this builds a foundation that remains even if life changes or challenges arise. A job might sustain you for a monthly cycle, but it rarely allows you to shape a path for others. When you start something, you can one day involve family members, teach your children, create opportunities for neighbors, or uplift members of your community. That act alone transforms your work into a means of sadaqah, mentorship, and ongoing influence. In Islam, the greatest people were not those who simply held positions. They were those who established something meaningful that benefited others. The companions of the Prophet built marketplaces, trade routes, and systems that continued beyond their lifetime. They didn't restrict their effort to what someone else assigned to them. Another important element is independence. When a person depends on employment alone, they often compromise time with their family, religious commitments, and personal growth. They sacrifice moments with children, skip prayers, or live under stress because they do not control their schedule. But someone who starts something independently has the ability to shape their life around their priorities. They can pause for Salah, serve their parents, attend Islamic gatherings, and raise their children with presence. That environment itself becomes part of their legacy, because what children witness becomes who they become. Furthermore, a believer should think about what they will leave behind when their life ends. A job provides income in the moment, but it does not build a continuation of good after death unless the intention and impact extend to people. When you start something that provides hello work to others, you earn reward every time they earn. When you produce something beneficial, you are rewarded whenever someone benefits from it. If you create a business that follows Islamic principles, your life becomes a model of deen in action. People remember that, learn from it and replicate it. Legacy is also about dignity. When you create something that people benefit from, you stand as someone who contributed to society rather than someone who spent years waiting for acceptance. Even if your initiative is small, it carries your identity, values, and intention. And because intentions matter most in Islam, Allah can grow a small effort into something lasting by His will. This does not mean everyone must avoid jobs completely, but it means no one should make jobs the only focus of their life. If you have a job now, use the time and income to slowly build something of your own that can one day stand independently. If you are unemployed, do not sit idle. Start with whatever skill, idea, or resource you have. The goal is to leave behind something that benefits you in this world and the next. A person who understands legacy stops asking, "Who will hire me?" and begins asking, "What can I create that will serve others and please Allah?" That question alone changes the direction of life. Jobs are temporary, but sadaqah jariyah, beneficial projects, and independent efforts can live on. When you start something with sincerity, you move from being dependent to being a source of provision and guidance for others. That is the mindset of someone who thinks like a believer and prepares not only for this life, but for what comes after it.